Cinema, the magic vehicle, a comprehensive guide. Journey 1, 1913 to 1950.
Today we're jumping into Cinema, the Magic Vehicle. It's this fantastic guide, really, taking us through film history from 1913 right up to 1981.
Right, and it helps uncover some real gems, but also understand, the context, the politics, the society shaping these early films.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we're focusing on a massive turning point.
Oh.
Charlie Chaplin. Specifically, how the tramp character evolved.
Yeah, tracing that journey from pure frantic slapstick in the shorts to becoming this director known for what the source calls the bittersweet style.
A style that really kicks off with his first full feature film, The Kid, in 1921.
Absolutely. That's the pivot point.
Okay, so to get this, we really need to start where the source does his childhood. It's fundamental. Charles Spencer Chaplin, born 1889, London. Music hall parents.
And he started performing at 6, but the source is really clear here. This wasn't about wanting to be on stage.
No, it was survival, pure and simple.
Exactly. The poverty was just crushing. His dad, an alcoholic, died. His mother, sadly, lost her sanity, ended up destitute in Lambeth.
Lambeth, yeah, one of the poorest parts of London then.
So young Charles, he had siblings to look after. Performing was basically the only option, out of sheer stark necessity.
He did bits of everything, right? Singing, acting on stage.
But the key thing, the big takeaway from the source, is that this meant he knew life among the lowest social strata very well.
It wasn't just a phase. It formed him.
Absolutely. This deep understanding, this intuition for life on the edge. That's where all that empathy in his later films comes from.
And it's fascinating how fast things changed for him financially from that kind of hardship.
To massive success. He joined the London Comedians in 1907, toured America. Max Sennett wanted him.
Right. He eventually signed with Sennett's Keystone, December 1913.
And bam, the tramp appears almost instantly. By his third film, Between Showers, early 1914, he's got the whole look. Bowler hat, big shoes, the cane.
And he was an immediate hit. Became, as the source puts it, the highly paid darling of the Nickelodeons. Just like that.
The rise was incredible. Keystone, then SNA, then Mutual. Always getting better deals.
And then First National in 1917. An 18-month contract for over $1 million.
$1 million in 1917. For a guy who literally grew up in the workhouse, it's just, wow.
Okay, let's look at what he was actually making back then in that Keystone era. The source is pretty direct about it.
Yeah, it calls them mass-produced one-reelers, full of frantic slapstick fooleries, permanent chases, and kicking other characters' backsides.
Pure physical comedy. Just gag after gag.
Machine gun gags, yeah. The source even says the quality was so basic that nobody would ever guess who Charlie the Tramp would become.
Nothing really hinting at the genius to come.
Not yet.
But it started to change pretty quickly, didn't it? Around 1917, the source says. That's when he shifts from just being a director
to becoming an author, a cinematic author.
You start seeing it in the way he stages things.
Exactly. Even while the slapstick's still there in shorts like Easy Street or The Immigrant and A Dog's Life in 1918, you get these flashes. Real social satire, interesting little staging ideas.
Things that needed a bit more time than just a chase scene.
Right. A more measured pace starts creeping in.
And that satire, it started tackling big stuff, like Shoulder Arms in 1918.
Oh, yeah. Released just as World War I ended. The source calls it a glaring anti-war political grotesque.
Which must have been, well, pretty audacious back then.
Hugely audacious. Releasing an anti-war satire during all that victory celebration and nationalism. It was politically charged, to say the least.
His production company certainly thought so. They wanted to slash it, right? Cut more than half.
They did. The final film is more of a droll soldier's tale, but his original idea was much sharper. A thinly disguised anti-imperialist tirade. Wow. And even the cut version still upset a lot of people in the American establishment. Too satirical for them.
Hey, this connects to his politics, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The source mentions his leftist sympathies, his admiration for the Russian Revolution.
Yeah, he wasn't quiet about it, and that definitely caused friction with the powers that be in America. Right from the start, really.
Which brings us to this really insightful analysis in the source about Chaplin himself. This idea of his contradictory soul.
Right. He wasn't an intellectual in the formal sense, but he had this incredible gut feeling, this intuition for life, for ordinary people.
The source calls him an anarchist clown, a dogged individualist, even a jester of the capitalist world.
And that internal conflict, that's where the real art comes from,
It's fascinating. This whirlpool, the source calls it.
Yeah, of mutually contradictory sympathy for the poor and satisfaction at being a millionaire.
He felt for the poor deeply. But he was also driven, ruthless even, in his career. The source says he envied his successful peers and felt he had to be ruthless to make it.
So you've got the art, fueled by empathy, side by side with this massive commercial ambition.
And that contradiction, it must have started changing the films themselves.
It had to. The endless kicking and chasing. It didn't fit anymore, did it? Not with that kind of complex worldview.
So from 1918 to 1920 or so, the Tramp starts to change.
Yeah, he tones down the stunts, less of the pure physical stuff. And this bittersweet blend starts to emerge. Sentiment, humor, and real tragedy mixed together.
There's that great quote from a critic back then, "Out of the eyes of the tramp peered a soul."
That's it exactly. And the kid is where that soul really takes center stage in the story.
Professionally, it was a big deal, too. He just co-founded United Artists, right?
Yeah.
January 1919.
Yeah, with the other giants. Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, D.W. Griffith.
Meaning he was his own boss now.
Which gave him control, creative control. The Kid was the first feature released by UA.
And unlike those quick Keystone shorts, this one took time, nearly a year to make.
That slower pace was crucial. It allowed for that tonal complexity, that bittersweet feeling to develop properly.
Okay, let's break down the kid's plot a bit. That style really comes through.
It does. The setting itself, Victorian London, evokes poverty, hardship, similar to Griffith's Broken Blossoms, actually.
And the story starts with a poor woman abandoning her baby. Leaves him in a fancy car.
But then thieves steal the car and just dump the baby in an alley. Awful.
And that's where Charlie, playing the Glazer this time, finds him and decides to raise him.
Right. And that's the sweet part, isn't it? Their bond, which leads to that ingenious scam they run.
The window-breaking routine.
Yeah, the kid played by Jackie Coogan, who was just incredible. I guess around breaking windows.
And Charlie just happens to be right there ready to fix him.
It's funny, it's clever, it's touching, but it's also born out of poverty, you know? They need the money.
Absolutely. And then there's the bitter side. The mother reappears later.
Now she's a rich opera singer, doing charity work. The class divide is stark.
And when she finds out the truth, the authorities step in. They try to take the kid away.
Which, the source points out, directly mirrors the most traumatic event of Chaplin's own childhood.
When his mother had her breakdown, and he and his brother were taken into care.
Exactly. That scene is heartbreaking. It's drawn straight from his life on Kennington Road. That mix of real affection and the constant threat of loss, of authorities stepping in, that is the bittersweet genre right there.
And yeah, maybe the plot gets a bit sentimental sometimes, but the source says it's still enchanting and amusing because of that primitive streak, that authenticity.
And the moments of pure comic genius.
Like pancake scene.
Oh, the pancake scene.
Yeah.
Where they fry them up and Charlie counts them afterwards.
Like money.
Yeah. It's brilliant physical comedy, but it's also about hunger, about poverty, perfect bittersweet moment.
And we have to mention Jackie Coogan again. 5 years old.
Incredible performance. The source calls it one of the best child performances ever in cinema. Chaplin clearly had a gift for directing him.
Though sadly, Coogan never quite hit those heights again later.
No, he didn't. But his work in The Kid is legendary.
And the film itself was huge, wasn't it? A massive hit.
Oh, enormous. The source calls it a turning point in the history of cinema burlesque.
And burlesque here means something specific, right? Not just gags, but character-driven comedy with a story.
Exactly. It's a step way beyond the pure kinetic energy of Keystone. It showed comedy could have heart and plot.
And it forced the competition to adapt. People like Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd.
Yeah, they saw the writing on the wall. The audience wanted more than just shorts now. They started making almost exclusively full-length features, too, following Chaplin's lead.
And Chaplin himself kept evolving. After The Kid, the source notes, his stories got more complex.
But the form, the filmmaking style, actually got simpler, less flashy camera work.
He focused on the performance, the emotion.
Right, which connects to that Stanley Kubrick quote the source mentions.
Oh yeah, Kubrick, the master technician.
Even he said, basically, that if something real is happening on screen, the fancy photography doesn't matter that much.
And Chaplin mastered that, letting the story, the emotion, the bittersweet soul carry the film.
So, yeah, this deep dive really shows how Chaplin's own painful youth wasn't just background, it was the fuel. It turned him from just a slapstick star into this profound filmmaker who basically invented a whole new kind of movie.
But we have to come back to that contradiction we talked about earlier, the jester of the capitalist world.
Right. The man using the system, becoming a millionaire, starting a studio, demanding huge salaries.
All to fund these deeply empathetic, often quite left-leaning films about the poor and the oppressed.
So that tension is just baked into the Tramp, isn't it? Ruthless ambition alongside genuine sympathy.
So that leaves us with a final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on. Given that Chaplin needed huge commercial success, needed to be ruthless in that capitalist system to get the freedom to make his art.
Does that very necessity, that need to be a millionaire mogul, ultimately compromise the social satire in films like The Kid? Does it blunt the critique?
It's a tough question. Does the message get diluted by the medium or by the mogul delivering it?
It's definitely a lens to watch his later films through. Think about City Lights or the really dark Monsieur Verdoux. That tension is always there.
Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.